bunnies! Welcome to part 2 of the critique of the Amazing Digital Circus. Last time we discussed Act 1, what the Digital Circus is, who the characters are, and what has happened while Pomni adjusted to the circus. We also added a douchebag meter for Jax, and by the end of the video, it was on 11 strikes. Let us see how many more they can rack up this time. Now, we are critiquing episode 4, 5, and 6 today, so grab your snacks and favorite drinks so we can jump into this together. Also, please stick around to the end where we will be answering a question given to us from the last video. Episode 4 begins with Ragatha teaching Gangle how to throw a softball, with Jax batting a few paces away. Jax is pretty impatient here as she tells him to hurry up, while Ragatha tries to comfort Gangle and give her some confidence. Gangle throws a ball and Jax hits it with the bat, making the softball hit Gangle's comedy mask, causing it to break. Jax looks genuinely surprised and swears this wasn't her intention, while she and Ragatha argue. I'm not adding a point to the douchebag meter here, as I actually believe her when she says it was an accident. While they fight, Zooble calls for Gangle to follow them to their room and gives her a brand new comedy mask made of plastic. I'm going to call this new mask the Manic Mask. Seems fitting. Jax, Pomni, and Ragatha soon appear at the door, with Jax making a snide comment about Zooble sharing her toy box parts with Gangle but not with her. Zooble states that they aren't for her, and Jax replies with,
"Darn, I guess you're never getting that unicorn horn, Pomni."
To Pomni, who is confused about this comment as she never mentioned anything about wanting a horn. Gangle says that she thinks that Pomni would look good with a unicorn horn, but before they could have a further conversation about this, Kane appears and asks,
Did somebody say adventure?
My darling Kane, no one did. We cut in front of the stage where Kane is suggesting another horror-filled adventure until Pomni asks if they could not do that adventure theme again for a while. Zooble asks what happened with the last adventure, and as Pomni explains, Zooble asks Kane why he thought that they would like that kind of adventure, as it was designed around them. Kane asks why everyone is being a critic, and Zooble brings up the suggestion box, which looks particularly full with adventure ideas from the cast. Kane pulls the box from a pillar it was attached to, only for water to spill out. Kane asks Bubble to plug up the hole, which he does with his tongue, and you can see that Kane's tongue disappears when he does so, showing us just how connected the two are. It is a neat little detail, and one that Kane even acknowledges as weird when he puts his tongue out, only for Bubbles to disappear and only returns when Kane pushes the tongue back into his head.
I'm already getting tons of ideas. That was weird.
Kane goes through some of the suggestions that were in the box. One was simply just Zooble being a piñata for everyone to whack with sticks, and another was from Zooble where Jax isn't allowed to speak for the full adventure. Kane finally grabs a suggestion where they work at a fast food restaurant, which Gangle agrees is a normal adventure idea. Kane makes Gangle the shift manager because of this. Zooble tries to leave until Kane states that they cannot skip out yet again. Kinger suggests that he stays behind, and Zooble does this adventure this time. And before they could argue back, Kane opens a trapdoor below them and makes Zooble disappear. Everyone, minus Kinger, goes through the rift to start an honest day of work. We also have a laugh as Jax slips on a puddle of water as soon as they walk through the rift. Satisfying. Fun fact, the Sputsies they work at in the episode is designed after a McDonald's that Gooseworks used to work at. Gangle gets into the swing of things by turning on all the machines and opening the store, while Pomni takes the register. Zooble flipping burger patties, Ragatha is on burger assembly, and Jax working on drinks and drive-thru. Jax decides she doesn't want to do this adventure and decides it would be a good idea to throw Ragatha into the deep fryer while arguing with Gangle. That is the first strike on the douchebag meter for this session. Mind you, they feel pain. We see a few minutes later, Zooble tries to use a new arm to flip patties and hurts themselves from the heat. So Ragatha being in the deep fryer for a solid minute while Gangle and Jax talk with no one helping her is fucking crazy. One of the NPCs orders this stupid burger, and when Ragatha tries to make it, she accidentally squirts some into her eye, causing her to see a nightmare-fueled version of Gangle. This is Fox's sleep paralysis demon, by the way. Ragatha is basically high for the rest of the episode, which is hilarious to me. Jax and Zooble have a really interesting conversation here as well.
So you're just, like, actually doing the job.
Yeah, I don't want Kane to punish me.
Kane's not gonna do anything malicious. It's not in his nature.
You really want to find out? The only thing holding Kane back is the fact that he likes us. I wouldn't push it.
That's rich coming from you.
This does bring up the question of why Kane is tolerating Zooble. If they have this outlook on him, why aren't they doing these adventures just to appease him? Jax gets annoyed after the conversation and sees they still have a long way to go before the end of their shift. Pomni sees Gummy Goo for the first time since the Candy Kingdom adventure, and here my scriptwriter wrote down in the notes, "Yes, Crocodile Daddy!" Oh my god, Fox, I'm gonna need 1 second. Go! As Pomni is trying to talk to Gummy Goo, she kinda notices how their conversation is a bit weird. Mainly the fact that he seems to have no memory of anything from episode 2. I do also want to mention the gag here of one of the Crocodile brothers saying they should have asked for a kid's toy.
Wait, I forgot to ask for a kid's meal toy. You're not a kid. Oh, yeah. An adult toy, then. Don't know about that one, mate.
Such a good gag and one I laugh at often. Gangle has to get Pomni back to work as the lunch rush finally starts. The Glunt Queen appears also and orders a crap ton of food for all her kids, all while Pomni notices Gummy Goo and his brothers leaving the restaurant, causing her to leave the very high Ragatha to talk to the Glunt Queen. Ragatha asks if the Glunt Queen has names for her kids, which she responds by saying she does and how much she loves her children. Ragatha seems impressed by this and starts to show us why she is such a people pleaser. Possible mommy issues. Let's put a pin in it for now though, as it will be more relevant later. Jax continues to feel bored and unwilling to do the adventure, and when Gangle approaches her to ask them to clean the bathrooms, she kind of dismisses it, which causes Jax to be sent to re-education. Jax is taken to a large dark room by giant cane hands and sat in front of a TV where a video featuring Gangle is made to play. The TV, Gangle speaks and acts exactly how orientation videos are presented. You know, those ones you watch at certain jobs before you start your first shift, or even information videos about workplace safety and workplace harassment. She also says something interesting in the middle of it.
Now I know what you're thinking. I don't want a career in fast food. I want to be a comic artist and eventually launch my own manga-inspired webcomic. And it's cool to have dreams, but you also need to remember that they're completely unrealistic.
This opens the door to more information about Gangle. She clearly wanted to be a manga artist, especially with how much she draws in the background of the show. If they aren't doing adventures, she's hanging around Zooble and drawing. This may also be her own personal feelings about how she felt she wasn't cut out for that line of work. When asked if Jax was smiling, she says no before the hands grab her and force her face against the TV, where the screen flashes with comedy and tragedy masks. Very similar to how people are brainwashed in movies with fast-moving images. We are soon brought back to Zooble, Ragatha, and Gangle, where Zooble notices that Ragatha hasn't made any of the burgers that were needed for the Gloink order. Zooble gets Gangle involved, and she starts to have a chat with Ragatha before she says,
No offense, but you're kind of annoying when you have your happy mask.
This breaks Gangle, making her walk off and stare at a wall for a bit. She is only snapped out of it when Jax returns to the group and asks Gangle if the clock is broken before Gangle kind of spirals. Her watch timer goes off, which breaks her spiral, and she confirms that, yeah, the clock is broken. Jax and Pomni eventually have a talk, and this is probably one of the first moments that we see the real Jax. She asks Pomni how she is doing, but when Pomni was about to answer truthfully, she changed direction by saying she is fine. She clearly doesn't trust Jax at this moment, which is completely fair with what Jax has put her through.
Jax, there's dishes back here. You got time to lean, you got time to clean.
God, I'm on it.
Which has sent every retail and fast food worker into a PTSD attack. I am sorry. Jax leaves Pomni to continue cleaning. They make it to the night shift where Gangle steps outside to take off her manic mask and just scream. I feel you, girl. Pomni was outside as well, taking out the trash. She asks Gangle if she is okay, and Gangle opens up a bit, but when Pomni asks if she has spoken to Ragatha about how she is feeling, she mentions how Ragatha kind of feels fake when she is talking to her. Before Pomni has time to even process this, Gangle puts on her manic mask and gets back to it as if nothing happened. I used to work in hospitality myself, and this was a common practice for everyone I worked with and myself. The fake smiles after a breakdown in the bathroom are a hard reality of working in the service industry. Jax ends her shift and gets into her car and slams her head into the steering wheel. Oh my god, I feel this in my soul. Zubul explains to Gangle that they should take Ragatha home so she doesn't try to drive while she is high, which leaves Pomni and Gangle to close up the restaurant. Gangle seems like she's about to have a panic attack or a depressive episode until Pomni asks her if she can close up instead of Gangle. Gangle takes her up on the offer and walks outside before she yeets her manic mask and runs under a street light, where she happily spins in a circle before she falls off the curb and almost gets hit by a truck before Kane pulls her into his office. Kane talks to Gangle about her performance and gives legit everyone a B+, with the only exception being Kinger with an A+ grade. What adventure did Kinger go on, might you ask? Well, he went on a rodeo adventure. After Gangle leaves, Kane starts glitching out before the episode ends, possibly a sign that he is not as stable as he seems. So this episode, in my opinion, is great. Amazing even. We learn a lot more about Gangle, we see a small piece of Jax, we learn about how Zubul feels about Kane, and a little bit about Ragatha and how she could possibly have mommy issues. After this episode, you'd think that the series was planning on doing one episode per person, but we will see very soon how this changes. It was nice to see old characters like the Gloink Queen, It was nice to see old characters like the Gloink Queen and Gummy Goo again, showing that Kane likes to reuse NPCs that he may be proud of. Around this episode, we also get small glimpses into the abstracted characters, as their names and pictures are used as menu items for Spudsies. The episode begins with Zubul reading a magazine as the rest of the cast walk through a rift, having just finished an adventure, though they all are soaking wet from head to toe. Ragatha makes a comment about how she hopes the next adventure won't be as wet before walking off. Jax also makes an interesting comment here to Pomni.
Looks like that oh-so-positive Ragatha charm is starting to wear off, huh?
Kane and Zubul start arguing mainly about how she doesn't want to be included in adventures before Kane makes all the circus cast join him, Bubble, and Zubul once again. Kane starts listing off adventures, mainly horror-filled or just downright depressing ones, which everyone disagrees with the ideas he throws out. Kane gets annoyed at this, and Zubul points out that they still have the suggestion box, but when Kane tries to get input from the others, Ragatha, Gangle, and Jax speak over each other. If you focus on listening to each one of them, you can get some details of what they say, but we will focus on what Jax says, which is,
Very much do not enjoy that
back on
one.
now.
If we ever do anything
Isn't
even
the
close
time?
to that again, I'm getting violent,
normally
and I'm
never
going
say.
to kill Ragatha.
another strike for the douchebag meter, Jax 13. Kane gets annoyed that no one can agree, so Zubul suggests he leaves rifts open to allow people to pick and choose the adventures they want. Kane says to Bubble,
Are you hearing this, Bubble? The Toy Box character wants us to leave the other intelligent AIs to run for a prolonged period of time.
Disgusting.
After a clapback from Zubul, Kane panics and suggests a lightning round, where everyone can vote to skip the adventure. Before anyone can voice an opinion, Kane forces them into a rift and into a new adventure. The first adventure is named Poacher's Paradise, which is obviously Jax's idea. Jax talks to the camera as if she were in Bear Grylls or something before she finds Gangle as a rhino and shoots her. Another strike! Zubul suggests that they skip the adventure and make Jax a vegan. Everyone agrees, and Jax becomes a vegan for the rest of the episode. Now you may be wondering, sweet little viewer, if Kane cannot control their minds, how can he make Jax a vegan? Put a larger pin in this as we will expand on this in part 3. Next adventure! Another Jax idea! Great. Pomni is the President of the United States, while Ragatha and Zubul act like bodyguards and Kinger is her assistant. Pomni is pretty confused until Kinger pulls her under the table and tells her that everyone got character sheets for their role. Guess who didn't? Pomni! Cause Jax just wanted to see what she would do. Jax runs in and talks about being an Australian terrorist. Fox definitely wants to rip her throat out for that one, and makes a joke of her coming in at a bad time since Pomni and Kinger rose up from under the desk. I love this little moment between Kane and Bubble as Kane says,
His acting's phenomenal. It's hard to believe he's vegan.
which makes me laugh every time I hear it. As Pomni is trying to disarm the bomb, Jax taunts her and Ragatha about how the bomb is filled with centipedes. That's 2 strikes, Jax, 1 for the character sheet and this one. Gangle steps in to pretend to be a New Zealand extremist, and there's a beautiful moment of silence after Gangle loses momentum and Gangle's bomb explodes. We go to the next adventure, which came from Gangle. They are in a slice of life anime high school. Jax is bitching and complaining about this, but for one, she complains about Gangle's love for anime, and that is for losers, but then actively states that slice of life animes are the worst ones. So what are you, Jax? A loser or not? I know this is meant to be showing off how Jax sometimes has her mask slip, and how she clearly has more issues about accepting herself, but she's being a hypocrite here. She mentions Gangle's figurine thing again and forces everyone to skip the adventure. That's a strike on the douchebag meter yet again. The new adventure is stargazing. We don't actually get told whose suggestion this was, but from what I can see from marketing, I think it was Kinger's idea for Queenie, his wife. There isn't too much that happens here other than a conversation between Ragatha, Pomni, and Jax. I will just let it play here.
Do you think Gangle is actually capable of being happy?
What?
I don't know, like her comedy mask still breaks every day. Does she think hanging out with Zubul is gonna magically fix that?
Maybe she just doesn't want to hang out with someone who's mean to her all the time.
She likes when I'm mean to her, though.
I didn't think you cared about what other people like.
No, yeah, you're right. I don't.
Do you have any actual friends?
Not anymore. Oh, wait, no. I'm sorry. I wasn't talking about that. That wasn't meant to be. Hey, Kinger! Did you see the fireflies all the way over there?
Jax ends the conversation with a glare at Ragatha before Ragatha tries to explain herself and quickly leaves the 2 of them to go see Kinger. This kind of brings us some more information. Jax keeps hiding behind a mask and shifting her words to change how she is perceived. It also brings up the question of what Ragatha meant by not anymore. Clearly, she had friends before Pomni. Clearly, she wasn't like this before Pomni. So what changed? What happened? Jax mentions how she feels that Ragatha just wants to take advantage of her and others. Another comment made by someone from the circus about Ragatha being fake, when we haven't seen any evidence of this other than her people-pleasing tendencies. I would say put a pin in this, but the series never really follows up on these points. There was also a comment about Jax having a tail, when we have never seen her with one. This confuses Jax as she clearly remembers having one. Kane and the Moon talk before Kane notices that the circus cast may be starting to like the suggestion box ideas over his own ideas. This causes Kane to call for an intermission. Now, I do have to say that the intermission has no meaning behind it. There were multiple fan-based theories about this, but Gooseworks has confirmed it has no meaning. The only thing that's important here is the fact that Jax runs towards a door with a frog crossed out on the door. You can assume that this is what Ragatha means by not anymore. I also want to add that the intermission happens in the middle of the series, which is where most stage plays have intermissions. This is also just really fun, so let me play it for you.
Intermission time. Welcome to the Digital Circus. Digital Circus.
Doing right now?
We're intermissioning!
Why? Hello?
And now back to the show!
They're in a bar, and this is clearly Zubal's idea because they used to work in a bar before all this. Let me just blast through this section quickly. Zubal states they used to be a bartender and a tattoo artist. Gangle confirms that she was a graphic designer and gave up the dream to work in fast food and be a store manager, just like we assumed in episode 4, and how she also draws comics in her free time. Pomni was urbexing when she ended up in the circus, and she often posted her videos of her urbexing adventures on YouTube. Jax references Breaking Bad as her backstory, and Pomni asks if people know about Kinger's wife, which no one did. Ragatha used to live on a farm and spoke a bit about her abusive mother, confirming that she did have mommy issues. And finally, the appearance of Disappearing Guy and the reveal of Jax's fear of corn. It is also during this point where Jax kind of notices how Kane has the ability to change people's minds because he had made her vegan. Anyways, on to the next final adventure. Softball adventure, Ragatha's suggestion. We can see why she was teaching Gangle to throw the ball in episode 4. She clearly missed this. Their opponents were evil versions of themselves other than Gangle, who has an evil orbsman. I'm not going to focus on too many things here as they mainly just play baseball, but the important things are: Jax gets forced into a maid outfit and loses her shit. Gangle sounds like R2-D2 when she is being chased by Jax. Pomni has a talk about being a jerk sometimes is a good thing to Ragatha, and immediately in the next scene when Ragatha is yelling at Jax, Pomni tells Ragatha to calm down. What the fuck happened to "you can be a jerk sometimes"? Why can't characters have an actual human response to Jax without immediately getting told off for having such feelings about the resident Ubu soft boy? Yes, it was shitty for Ragatha to say not anymore, coming from someone who has watched the whole series, but at the same time, the abuse that Gangle deals with on a daily from Jax, the shitty things that Jax does to every other woman in the circus, and she can't even get a slap on the wrist? She can't deal with someone lashing out on her because of her absolute bullshit in the series? Moving on, Ragatha says,
I'm sorry, Jax, for bringing up that thing earlier.
which gives us a different look we haven't seen from Jax yet. You can assume that this has deeply affected her, but we won't know until later. Ragatha goes up to bat a second time since she gave up her own turn to bat earlier, and as Ragatha is batting, Pomni and Jax talk. You can assume they were talking about what just happened, but we don't actually find out what they were talking about. Ragatha looks pissed about this, and it is the second time in the episode where she is clearly not okay with Pomni and Jax hanging out. Why? We still don't know. Kinger has a really sweet moment with Ragatha, picking her up and spinning her around because she hit a home run, and she gets praise from Gangle and Zubul also. The adventure ends and Jax is no longer vegan, and she loses the maid outfit before she runs over to evil Jax and bites down on her, shaking her around like a rabid dog. They all return to the circus and the episode ends on a zoom in on a mannequin watching the group. This mannequin has been seen a few different times in the background of episodes, but we won't find out more about them until episode 7. So far, this episode is good, but we are beginning to see the issue between the series and Jax. Jax can do anything and it will be played off as a joke, and no character will be able to call her out on this bullshit because she is a repressed trans girl who wants to pretend she isn't trans. I know this is meant to bring up things from episode 9 to this episode, but it is one of those things that pisses me off. Just because you have trauma, it doesn't mean you can treat the other people around you like shit. Just because you are a closeted trans human and want to keep that hidden doesn't mean you can fuck with women just because you feel like it. This is also where Jax starts moving to become the main character over Pomni, and Pomni just becomes the audience stand-in rather than an actual character. Yes, we find out more about the other characters, but we get the bare minimum about Zubul, confirmation on Ragatha and Gangle, some more about Pomni, and a lot of mysteries from Jax. Who is this frog character? What did Ragatha mean by not anymore? Why is Jax flip-flopping on if she actually likes people or not? Overall, this episode was fun, entertaining even, but it begins to show some of the show's issues. I really like the way Jax shook their evil self and how the stance she took on the field was turned into an art trend. Those parts were fun. Episode 6 begins with the announcement of the Favorite Character Award, and I do want to mention before we move on that after every episode, there has been a website that viewers could visit, which would change in between episodes. At the end of episode 5, it was a voting system where you could vote for your favorite character in the show. Fox voted for Kane because of course she did, and I didn't know about this until now, so I didn't vote. We cut to Jax and Pomni walking around the circus before stopping at the sight of one of Zubul's arms falling in front of them. They look up to see Zubul hiding from Kane in a flower pot. Apparently, Kane has been standing in front of Zubul's door and kept singing Daisy Bell to them. Fun fact about this, Daisy Bell is the first song ever sung by a computer, which I think is such a neat little detail. Anyways, Jax calls for Kane, obviously to piss off Zubul, until Kane tells them to meet him at the stage in 5 minutes so they could talk about the new adventure. Kane explains that this adventure will be a short one because of the Favorite Character Awards, but after some arguments between Zubul and Kane asks them what they want with a very frustrated tone. Zubul says,
You really want to know what I want?
Oh no.
I want the ability to have sex.
No way. Are we finally having this conversation?
Fun fact, the word sex is censored in the YouTube version of the episode, which is why it's a bleep rather than the normal tune noises that the show normally uses. Kane freaks out about this and glitches out before going back to his senses as if the conversation didn't happen. Kane makes a amusing makes an ass out of you and Ming joke before we get a Markiplier cameo where he plays Ming. There's a room where one person goes into the room with a gun, takes out all the ammo and comes out, handing the gun to person B. Person B is meant to shoot themselves and trust that person A did in fact remove all the ammunition, while person A has to trust that person B won't try to shoot them. Jax doesn't pay attention to the instructions, so Kane touches her head and forces the information into her head. Jax looks at the gun before immediately shooting Ragatha, while Kane just sighs and says,
Or, yeah, we could all just shoot each other. Kids have guns. I don't care anymore.
and spawns a pile of guns in front of everyone. Let me just add one more point to the douchebag meter for this one. Zooble has issues with this, asking how they are meant to have fun if they're just shooting each other, which Kane retorts with,
I didn't say have fun.
It's just a little aimless.
Use the sights.
Kane!
After some more pushback, Kane makes up some rules to turn this into a game similar to laser tag. Everyone is in teams of 2. You have to find the guns that are scattered all over the circus and shoot each other, and everyone has 3 lives. Jax tries to choose Gangle to be her partner before Zooble takes Gangle away from them. Pomni tries to join a team with Ragatha, but she brings up her concern about Jax being paired with Kinger. Pomni agrees and teams up with Jax instead, while Ragatha joins Kinger. The timer goes off, the guns disappear, and everyone runs off. As everyone leaves, Kane looks at a photo of the CNA building. Where did he get this image? Why is he looking at it so intently? Questions that will not be answered until much later. We focus on Ragatha and Kinger, but Ragatha only has 2 lives because Jack shot her before the game even begun. Kinger casually manifests a butterfly to heal her. This brings up a whole lot of questions, but we will leave those for the end of the episode. We will come back to it in another episode as well. We start to follow Jax and Pomni, and we get a little bit of insight on how Jax thinks of the other circus members. She seems to think that they aren't real people, if I read the scene correctly, saying that everyone is just a cartoon character. There's also a quote she says explaining that,
"'Cause I'm the funny one."
The funny one?
Yeah. Ragatha's the cheerful one, Gangle's the sad one, Kinger's the crazy one, Zooble's the grumpy one, and you are the one who hasn't figured that out yet.
all the while Pomni is trying to shoot some cans and fails. But after Pomni shoots a perfect shot, they move on to find the others. I also want to point out a small detail on the guns. They are branded with the names Cain and Abel, which is an interesting detail. We cut back to Kinger and Ragatha, where Kinger gets shot down by Zooble with a sniper. Kinger also does the most adorable roll here, which also makes Fox laugh whenever she watches this scene. Jax does find Ragatha and shoots her hands before shooting her in the head, pinning her back to 2 lives. Jax shortly shoots her again, which leaves her with 1 life before he starts chasing her. Ragatha yells at Jax,
Howdy, howdy.
I know exactly what you're doing with Pomni. It'll never work.
Huh?
You know, getting close with Pomni to corrupt her. Wait, no, wait.
As Jax is about to shoot her again, Ragatha shoves her finger into the barrel of the gun, which causes it to backfire and hit Jax, leaving her with 2 lives. Jax is so angry about this and about what Ragatha has been saying that she shoots her 7 times before the gun clip empties and continues to pull the trigger another 5 times with no effect. Pomni soon finds Jax and they decide to find Kinger. As they talk about their plan, Jax stands in front of a red wall and Pomni stands in front of a blue wall. These colors are important, but we will put a pin in it for now and explain them more in part 3. We finally focus on Gangle and Zooble, and there's an amazing talk between the two.
Do you think Jax is gonna be mad that I didn't team up with him?
I wouldn't worry about him right now. It's all just a game in the end.
It's Jax, though. He probably wants revenge, and he's gonna make it painful.
Hey, you deserve better than thinking about him when he's not even here.
This just shows how Gangle is scared of Jax, of how she cares about her feelings because she doesn't want to be abused again. I do have to ask, why doesn't Zooble join the adventures so she can help Gangle from getting this treatment from Jax? I know Zooble shouldn't be her knight in shining armor or anything like that, but you can deal with issues by banding together. It is a little odd. There's also this bit that has made me smile ear to ear.
How are you supposed to like the part of yourself that just makes you worse than everyone else?
'Cause it exists. It's a part of you that's real. And the only you that you should care about is the real you.
This confirms what we had been speculating. Zooble has body dysmorphia. They explain how they don't feel comfortable within themselves, but they choose to love themselves anyway. They are giving advice to Gangle, of course, but how they look at themselves in the reflection of Gangle's mask, how they are taken off guard when Gangle asks the right question, it feels like they were talking about themselves in a way. As Jax and Pomni try to find Kinger, they talk, mainly just getting to know each other and talk about why Jax doesn't like corn, because it reminds them of insect sacs. They list foods that give them the same feeling, and we notice that Jax has her tail back. Woo! They eventually find Kinger in the room behind them.
I'm right behind you, aren't I?
An amazing shootout scene happens, and it is an enjoyable scene to watch. All three in the dark room shooting at one another before Kinger tries to do a trick shot and instead shoots himself in the head. We join Kinger and Ragatha in the elimination room, where Ragatha is clearly upset while Kinger talks about how much fun he had during that fight. He notices how Ragatha is feeling and talks to her about it. Ragatha thinks that she's failed Pomni, that she failed Jax. Kinger has a beautiful moment here saying,
The way I see it, relationships are two-sided, and sometimes it doesn't make sense to do all the heavy lifting when the other isn't in the mood. We all go through and deal with things differently, and sometimes you just need to let people do things their own way, as long as you're still there when they need you. Giving someone space should never be the same as giving up on them.
Moments like these are the reason why Kinger is Fox's favorite character. Kinger is also the best dad out of the group. Zooble and Gangle run through pipes as they are chased by Pomni and Jax. They stop for a moment as they both run out of bullets until Gangle notices a Tommy gun, which is exactly the gun she was looking for. This was her dream, to wear her comedy mask and laugh like a crazy person as she shoots the Tommy gun. She breaks the pipe with a ring of bullets, and they all fall onto the ground. Pomni stands up and shoots Gangle at the same time as Gangle shoots her, eliminating Gangle but leaving Pomni with one life short. Zooble runs straight to their room with Pomni and Jax following them, but when Zooble locks themselves in their room, Pomni and Jax start to sing Daisy Bell to piss off Zooble, as they attach more arms onto their body to hold more guns. Once they finish verse 1, Jax remembers that she has a key to their room and opens the door only to receive a mouthful of bullets as Zooble shoots them both and runs. Now everyone is left with one life. Pomni runs after Zooble and Jax sits there. She stares at Kaufma's bedroom door before looking at the frog character's bedroom door and looks away quickly. Clearly, the images have stirred some emotions. We follow Pomni and Zooble as Zooble is running from Pomni before she does a trick shot and shoots all of the guns from their hands. Zooble falls down onto the ground before they flip off Jax and Pomni and accepts their fate. They are the last in the game now, and Pomni hugs Jax before she shoves Pomni away with a panicked expression. Pomni brushes it off and makes a comment about them needing to betray each other before pointing the gun at Jax. Jax looks at Pomni and tells her that she can betray her. Pomni immediately becomes conflicted on this as she believed they were friends, but Jax immediately states,
We were never friends.
This causes Pomni to ask what would happen if she abstracted. Jax answers,
I'd move on. And probably forget about you.
Pomni turns around at this point, and Fox tells me that she believes that Pomni was going to straight up shoot herself in this moment. Honestly, I see that. Pomni runs over to Jax and physically attacks her. They brawl a bit before Jax throws Pomni to the ground. Jax asks why Pomni did this, and she replies with, "Why didn't you fight back?" This causes Jax to have an entire crash out. I do want to point out that Jax calls herself a chicken fetus in an egg that needs to be cracked open, which is a trans analogy. A lot of closeted trans folks are referred to as eggs because they haven't hatched out and become who they truly are. Jax also has her first swear ever in the entire series. I'm going to put this entire crash out and the moment when she answered what would happen if Pomni abstracted as 2 strikes to the douchebag meter. We finally reach the award show where Ragatha and Pomni sit together, but leave a seat empty for Jax, who chooses to sit as far away from the group as possible. Jax does eventually leave to have a panic attack in the bathroom and says to herself,
God, that looks stupid.
I want to take note of this and get back to it when we talk about episode 9. When Jax returns, Zooble is awarded with the Sailor Mouth Award when we cut back to them. They are high on stupid sauce, which is such an amazing gag and callback to Spudsies. We get to the Favorite Character Award where Kane says it is himself before he corrects it and says it actually belongs to Ming.
You shouldn't have assumed you won the award. We both look foolish.
Fox told me that when Kane checked the card to see that no one voted for him, she was very upset about this. She told me quite a few times that she had voted for him and felt so bad for him. This episode is amazing, just filled with fun moments and character bonding. We once again focus a lot on Jax, which is the sense of this episode. I don't mind. It makes a lot of sense here. We spend the most amount of time with Jax and Pomni. Jax also using trans analogies is interesting, and we have already mentioned how Jax is confirmed to be trans femme, so this use of trans analogy only further confirms our suspicions. I love the moment between Zooble and Gangle, as it is bittersweet. Zooble really wants to help a friend, but ends up just talking about themselves, and they still manage to help Gangle. This episode is just great overall. I wouldn't remove anything as I feel everyone got a good amount of screen time too, which cannot be said for the rest of the episodes going forward. One thing before we leave, Viking boy Billy commented Abel's mannequin form was on a door in episode 1. Wasn't he not a human brain scan? How does this make sense? I responded with, the basic mannequin is on all the doors with no characters on them, meaning they are not claimed yet. They are not able, they are just a placeholder icon for the bedrooms. Hope this helps. Well, they didn't seem to agree and wanted some proof. Well, first of all, we see these mannequins all over the place. The one in the bath when Pomni was opening doors in the pilot, the Candy Kingdom people, and the other customers in the restaurant again in the pilot. We also see them in the audience for the character awards. They are repetitive NPCs that don't require a lot of effort. If you look at the doors with no character icon, you can see the mannequins are used in pretty much the same way. No mannequin is crossed out, and there wouldn't be any reason why the mannequins would get their own room. I hope this clarifies that question. If you have any other questions or theories, please leave them down in the comments, and we will answer them at the end of part 3. That is it for now, my little blue bunnies. We will hopefully get the last 3 episodes into the next video, but it will be a longer one, so expect some time before it is released. Please remember that the Discord is linked below. While you are down there, leave a like and add a comment of what your thoughts are. Thank you to Low Fluff for the background music, and thank you to Haunted Fox for the script. We will see you in the next video. Bye bye!